code and play the open source way. CircuitPython Day, we code and play the open source way. We code and play.
Code. Play. Code. Play. Code. Play.
Hello, everyone. Happy CircuitPython Day. I am here with Guy Dupont, who you may know for making fantastic CircuitPython projects. Guy, thanks for coming by and chatting with us today.
I'm honored to be here.
Yeah.
And I wish that song was playing throughout this entire thing. We need an instrumental version just as a backdrop for.
I agree. I think it's ripe for some remixing and everything. Yeah. It can be summer's CircuitPython Day song. Yeah. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do with CircuitPython?
Sure. So I am a software developer by trade. I work for a company called Amy. We're doing like AI generative music stuff. And then you may have seen my hardware work is kind of what parts of the internet know me for better and for worse. And yeah, so I've been working with CircuitPython and not exclusively CircuitPython, but to build all sorts of different hardware projects, a lot of them audio or music based. I work with a lot of human interface hacks and silly things mostly. I really enjoy building things, open sourcing things, and sharing them on the internet. I have a YouTube channel where I tend to do deeper dives, and then I post on Mastodon and Twitter still for kind of smaller scale projects.
Great. And just a quick note, if you get inspired by watching this stream and want to build with some hardware, we do have a 16% off discount code at Adafruit today in the shop, CPD16, in honor of CircuitPython Day. And now, Guy, why don't you show us some of the stuff you've been working on?
I would love to. Also, I already used the code. I'm proud of myself.
It's a good
right
deal.
on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Sure. So I'm not at home right now, but so I don't have anything physically with me. But I tried to organize as much as my internet presence as I could into a few tabs. So
excellent.
I'm just going to share my screen here. Okay, so I'm going to start with this. I've done a lot of CircuitPython projects in the past 2 years, especially, and a lot of them I didn't really get to share as widely as I wanted to. So this is a really cool opportunity for me. This one, I shared this as a part of I did a talk at the Open Hardware Summit this year about designing custom hardware and to some degree software gifts for people. So to give to your loved ones. And this was a project I did for a very close friend of mine who had a baby. How old is that kid now? Like a year and a few months ago. And also, he and his wife have a golden retriever who is also pretty young. So that's a potent combo.
That is
new baby and a young golden retriever. And so my gift to them when the baby was born was dog walks because I live pretty close by. So I made this device. This is a CircuitPython device. That's a custom PCB that basically what happens, they hit that button that you see in the bottom left, and then the status lights start blinking different colors depending on if it's connected to the internet. And what it does is it sends me a push notification on my phone saying that they're requesting a dog walk at some point in the near future. And I can acknowledge right from my phone. I just hit the acknowledge button on the push notification, and then they get the green light for received. And that means I can walk the dog today. So this was, unfortunately, I didn't take any pictures of the backside, but it's I remember it very well. It's an Unexpected Maker, the Pro S3, I think.
Okay, yeah.
So it's the one. It's an ESP32 S3. and it's the one that's got it's got castellated edges, which I really like for all my projects. And so it's just mounted directly to the back of this thing, and I just wired in a little battery, and it sits on their fridge. And so there's a lot of things. It's a really simple project. It's like not much code. It's like as CircuitPython projects tend to be, if we're lucky. But it encapsulates so much of what I love about CircuitPython, which is like the fact that with the ESP32 S3 now, and like now we have low power modes in CircuitPython, they didn't have to charge that. I still don't think they've had to charge this thing. And granted, they're not requesting dog walks every day, thankfully. But I just thought that was so cool. I made like a Wi-Fi connected device that, you know, I didn't really have to do much extra. Right? I just tacked on a battery, and it, you know, goes right off. So that I love. And then the other thing is, you know, I think when CircuitPython gets brought up, we talk about the developer experience a lot, and how great it is. You know, you save the file and it reboots and it's running that code instantly. And you know, it's like the flash drive means you always have your source code and you can change it on any device. Yeah. But like one of my favorite things about it is what happens when you put it in somebody else's hands. And so like these folks that we needed to, both brilliant, but not necessarily like hardware people, right? Like, so what I did was I gave it to them, and to get it onto their Wi-Fi network, the CircuitPython device has a CSV saved like just in the root directory, with a column that with the title is Wi-Fi network, and the other column is Wi-Fi password. And they just fill out the cells below those, and when they save it, the thing reboots and can connect to the network. And I just thought there was such a beautiful user experience for them, because like they know how to open a spreadsheet. They work, you know, they both work for a company in which they are dealing with spreadsheets. So I just thought it was so cool that I was able to give them familiar to them, no cost to me, and they had the thing up and running with like no problem. That being said, I'm excited for the circuit matter stuff. I think that's going to take it to another level. But my point being, the whole like flash drive thing is so beautiful. It's awesome. Yeah,
and your audio is going in and out a little bit. I know you'd mentioned you were outside, but I do want to also bring up that the dog on the silk screen looks fantastic.
Yeah.
And also being in Boston, I also appreciate the Charlie card reference.
Yeah, you got the reference. Yeah.
Which is what we call our subway cards here.
Yeah. Although they just got retired, kind of. Now we can say it with credit card, but that's a whole other thing.
Yes.
So that is their actual dog, whose actual name is Charlie.
Oh, even better.
Yeah. Yep. Cool. All right. If you missed my audio at all, somebody, all right, Scott already pinged me in the Discord. I can hear the notifications, so let me know and I'll circle back if I need to. Cool. Scott asked, how many times did you walk the dog? I think I'm on like 4. I think it's only been like 4, which I think is totally reasonable.
That's very reasonable. Yeah.
All right, let me switch tabs here. Okay, so I'm going to talk about my hit clips, which I have talked about several times in the context of Adafruit things, but I've had some exciting updates this year. So if you are between the ages of like 29 and like 34, you might remember there's a toy called Hit Clips.
I do remember.
They were really big for us who were like kids in that era, older kids, I would say. But basically they were a way for kids to have their own music that wasn't a full CD, wasn't a cassette. And this is like kind of pre-iPod days, just the beginning of that. So they had these really cheap little cartridges, and they each held like 30 to 60 seconds of the worst sounding audio you've ever heard. But they were real popular songs. It was like Baja Men Who Let the Dogs Out. And that era, right?
NSYNC. Yeah.
NSYNC, a lot of Backstreet Boys. but it was cool because it was like the first way for kids to like express themselves with their music taste, and you could clip the cartridges onto your bag, and they had little portable players, and it was a lot of fun. So I made drop-in replacements for the cartridges using the RP2040, and they actually run CircuitPython. So again, taking advantage of that flash drive thing, you can actually just drag and drop your audio onto the CircuitPy drive, and then you pop the cartridge into your player, into your old, like it works with the old original players from the early 2000s. And I'm using the PIO from the RP2040 to actually drive the audio out, which is like, again, super cool that I can do that within CircuitPython too.
Yeah.
So I posted a lot about this. I talked a lot about it. I'm gonna stop there. But my updates is that I've actually been able to sell these to artists.
Very cool.
Which is really cool. So I've gotten the software in a place that I'm happy with, and the hardware I've kind of refined a bit too, and even just the process of like instructing people how to use them. But I worked with Halsey's team. She just put out a single a few weeks ago. That's an interpolation of the old Britney Spears song "Lucky," and so her team reached out to do a limited drop of hit clips.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah. So thank you. Very, very exciting. And there's a few artists too. It's this is obnoxious, but I can't really talk about them yet. But it's just, there's a big like nostalgia boom right now. And I just like happened to be in the right place at the right time. And it's like CircuitPython enabled me to like sell bootleg hit clips to Sony Records. So
that's,
like, I think
that's so cool. Oh my gosh.
I think that's really, really fun. And so here's a shot. She was in New York, and she was like leaving them around at record stores.
Yes.
In New York for a little while, and I think she might have more for other cities, but yeah, that was really, really, really.
That's amazing. Wow.
Cool to be able to do. Yeah. Thank you.
And that's a little karaoke machine they used to sell.
Yeah. I ended up buying pretty much all of these, which is like kind of unfortunate that there aren't many left in the world. I befriended a hit clips player seller on eBay, as one does in your 30s.
Of course, yeah.
And I think I bought all of them. I think I have it. I think I have all the new stock for old stock for hit clips Groove Machine.
You could set up a little like traveling museum that shows it.
I want to. So another audio project. So I'm not the first person to have a really big mouth bass.
Yes.
There are many great instructables and old guides for how to do this, to how to like take one of these. This is, if you're not familiar, this is also an old toy kind of. You would hang this fish on your wall, and you press the button. It plays music and dances. So it's got motors inside and it flaps around.
Right.
I might be the first person to do it with CircuitPython. I'm not sure, but there, like I said, tons of guides. I didn't find any CircuitPython ones. If there is one, please let me know. But otherwise, like it was such a pleasure to get this done, especially with the hardware I used. I'll get to that in a second. But so this ugly mess, I had a tight deadline for this. But buried in this sea of wires here is the Feather RP2040, the prop maker one.
Okay.
And on top is the motor driver Feather. And those two things together, mixed with CircuitPython, are literally all you need to make like a very functional fish. And again, I can't play the audio for this one because I'm working with an artist.
Okay.
But I don't think you'd be able to hear it anyways. But you can see, like, I had this up and running so quickly because CircuitPython, right? Like it's just motors and like someone said in the last stream, like how easy it is to play audio. I showed it to the person I was making this for. I showed the code and it was like, open MP3, play MP3, and they were like, "Are you kidding?" Yeah. So yeah, and so this was cool too. So if you look in the top right there, you can see
Mm,
the timestamps for the motors, and this was super helpful again, like because we wanted to get this choreography exact like with
I
the
see.
audio,
Yeah.
and to be able again having CircuitPython and just being able to like, oh, we need to move this by a couple milliseconds, whatever we were pixel pushing by the end, but like again, just to be able to hit save and just run it again, and then have
Yeah.
it print out live as it's going. Like I can just record the output of the serial to debug. It was like it made it like such a pleasure. The only thing that really sucked about this was something about the DC motors going forward and backwards quickly,
Mm,
because this is an old fish and the spring does not work, like they don't work like they used to.
yeah.
And so for some of the motors, I'm actually putting it in reverse to get it back into place rather than
Oh,
letting
I
it
see.
go back.
Yeah.
And if you do that quickly, it generates a lot of noise, and occasionally the microcontroller would just like reboot, and that was I don't know. If anyone knows more about how, I looked up, you throw some capacitors at it and it's supposed to make it better, and it mostly
Mm,
did. But um, yeah, if anyone's got any hot tips on DC motor driving, yeah,
yeah.
I'm down to hear it. But yeah, still, it was it ended up working out fine, and it was again a pleasure to work with CircuitPython for this.
Yeah. And I just rewatched The Sopranos, so that has an extra thing to see another Billy Bass. That
Nice.
plays a big role in the show.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, what else do I have here? Oh, this is just a quick one, and that's kind of the point with the
Mm,
with CircuitPython. But so I made this for Open Hardware Summit was in Montreal this year, and Canada did this thing where they banned the Flipper Zero. If
yes.
you know the device, it's like a hacking device. It's like a multi-protocol. It's really neat. Um, so I, in an act of, I guess you could call it protest, I made this called the Page Flipper, and it's a slide deck. Like it's just a way to get through your slide deck if you're presenting, because I was going to present.
Right. Yeah.
Um, and so I made this PCB that it's got capacitive touch,
Oh,
and
okay.
then
Capacitive touch.
I left the solder mask on here, so that you can draw on it with a Sharpie. I stole that idea from Arturo 182.
Mm,
If you know your
that's cool. Yeah.
yeah, it's a great idea. And yeah, okay, so I have a video of it going. So it's just some arrows. There's and I think that return button, it works as a enter, and
Oh,
then on the
okay.
back it's a Zhao, the NRF 52841,
Mm,
because I wanted to be able to use it as a Bluetooth keyboard as well.
very cool.
Yeah, so it's that. Again, I don't have a picture of the back, but um, you can all imagine it. We all know that form
Yeah.
factor
And
very
you
well
even
now,
got the
thanks to the cutie
font.
pie.
Yeah, you even got the
Yeah,
font from the flipper. Like, it's a really good riff on it
yeah,
for
thank
the
you.
design. Yeah.
It's funny. It's like a lot of these projects, like I spent more time getting that right than I did writing the firmware. Because like, and that's cool. I think that's
Yes.
cool.
Yeah.
That's not saying I spent a lot of time on either. But yeah,
No,
very,
I
very
know
cool.
you mean. I recently was doing some PCBs, and like I was spending a lot more time on the silk than the actual like circuit or anything. Like getting that dialed in is
Yeah,
worth it.
for sure. Okay, what else do I have? I'm moving faster than I thought. We're shutting up at
That's
1:30,
good.
yeah?
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay,
probably
cool.
have that's enough time for one or two more projects you want to chat through.
Sure. Sure, sure, sure. Um, I'll just do
While you're pulling
this.
that up,
Yeah,
Mark Gambler in Discord chat said for the motors, capacitors, of store more capacitors, but also ferrite beads clips may help too.
cool.
And then Taba saying the biggest capacitor, a separate battery for the motor as well.
That
Um,
I was thinking about doing that. That's a good idea.
yeah.
And I did use not I didn't use ferrite, but I bought the little just the magnets, what is it, toroid, whatever. And I don't know. I went deep down some forums, and I
Yeah.
am not an EE, and so I was just throwing everything at it. Um, but okay, good to know.
Yes.
I'll poke back in the Discord and make sure I download all that info.
Cool.
Sweet.
Sweet.
I'm not going to talk about any specific project at this point.
Okay.
I'm going to show my list of projects here,
Great.
and I just want to quickly point out the ones that I have used CircuitPython, because I did this exercise earlier, and I was like, wow, I use it a lot.
Yeah.
And you know, if anyone is interested in any of these projects, a lot of them I've talked about. I've gone on show and tell. I've done videos for them and whatnot, and I'd love to go into more detail on them. So hit me on the Discord. I'll get my contact info at the end. But I want to go through and just hit the ones that I use CircuitPython for, because I think it's pretty amazing. It served me so well. Okay, so going most recent to moving back. So the mailbox. This was it's a toy mailbox that when you put your phone into it, it allows all of your notifications to come through. So it actually it's hooked up with a Raspberry Pi acting as a router by default to block all push notifications from getting through to your phone, and they only show up when you put your phone in the mailbox and close it. And so the kind of client side of this is an ESP32, probably an S3, yeah. An S3 on the inside that detects the spring detecting when the phone goes in, and that it talks over Wi-Fi to the Raspberry Pi that handles all the network stuff.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
Yeah. So that's a CircuitPython project, at least on the client side. This my QR code menu printer. So this is a discrete device that you could take into a restaurant, and it scans QR code menus, and then itemizes and prints a physical paper copy of that menu for you, like while you're sitting at the table. And so the meat of that, the actual summarizing the menu is done by a large language model, but inside this box is, again, I think an ESP32 S3 running CircuitPython that captures the scanned QR code, sends it up to my server, and then takes the updated menu and drives the printer. All with CircuitPython.
That's great. I really liked your YouTube video for that one too. I remember seeing.
Thank you. Thanks. I actually got kicked out of 2 restaurants for testing it, and they weren't having it. It was kind of a busy day, so I don't blame them.
That's a badge of honor right there.
Yeah. This is one of my favorites. If it'll load, this is a mechanical color picker.
Okay.
It's called the dial toner. So if you know hex colors, if you worked with either web design or really any software, when you're dealing with colors, you define a color as a 24-bit like hex string usually. And so I found these cool switches that are single digit hex, so they go from 0 through F, and they click at each spot. Hackaday is not being friendly right now. But anyway, so you dial in your color, it shows up with the little NeoPixel on the right there, and when you hit the button, it sends that color to your computer. And
great.
It sends it as just text, so it's basically a keyboard. And it works kind of out of the box with any software that you're using. So that's the dial toner project. And it's it's just a Zhao on the back, one of the Zhao boards. I think the RP2040 one. And like between the hardware being so simple and the firmware being so simple, like I've been selling those on Etsy, and I have no fear that users are going to have a bad time, even though it's like something that I just make in my basement.
Right. And I think I saw a post from you go by when the RP2350 was announced that you'll be able to upgrade the hardware in your projects without having to worry about the software too much, just because of how CircuitPython's developed.
Yes. I think that's so cool. Like as soon as I get the new Zhao boards, which I think I saw our backup up for purchase today. I don't know. You can only get one at a time right now.
Yeah.
And for most of my projects, I can actually, if there's a Qt Py version too, I don't know if that's secret or if it's happening or whatever. I would love to
It'll
see
probably
it
come.
if it's
Yeah.
not. Okay.
Yeah.
That'll work too. I'm hoping, because I'm not doing anything too crazy with the RP2040, that a lot of these will be track replacements, and I'll get a big speed boost for basically free.
Sweet.
Famous last words
Yes,
for
very
software
true.
developer,
I mean,
but
always little quirks that can pop up, but
yeah,
that is a nice part that I will go through too. Like when we had the Matrix portal upgrade from the M4 to the S3, Melissa on our team went through and tested all of our projects, and there were really just minor changes that had to be done that would have had to been updated anyway, just with how the API changes. So that is a nice portability aspect of the code.
Yeah, it's amazing. All right, I'll go quick through this also. This is a baby monitor that I modified to, rather than play the sound, it turns the sound into haptic feedback. And
Very cool.
That little bracelet right here. I'm pointing at my screen as if
I got it.
This little bracelet over here, you wear it, and it's got a little motor in it. And so the idea is you can sleep in silence, but either you or your partner can be kind of aware of what's going on with the child. And I am proud to say we actually use this.
That's great.
Yeah. This one's been really cool, and there's not much more to say about it. It's rare that I make something that I use on a daily basis, and that one has been great. Strange phone. This is CircuitPython. Again, the audio capabilities coming in crazy handy. I made this. This was a commission for this Stranger Things 4 premiere.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, so it was commissioned by Quicksilver, the clothing company.
Yeah.
Because they did a bunch of the what's it called, the clothing for that season of the show, and they had a booth set up at the premiere. Although plot twist, they didn't actually get to set this up, so it kind of died. But there was some redemption. It went up in the NYC Resistor show.
Very cool.
Becky Stern reached out and found a home for it. I was very grateful for that.
That's
so
great.
It went up, and it has some clips from the show. You can actually press, it has a dial tone. You can hit the buttons, and it, the audio plays through the headset. And again, I ended up, someone reached out to me and wanted to build one for their kid, and I had built two, and I said, you can just have this other one, and I sent it to them, and I didn't even think about that they want to put their own audio on it. And they're like, oh, can I change the sounds? And I was like, yes, you can. You literally can. And it's not hard. Grab a screwdriver and a USB cable. And they were able to do it. And it was easy peasy.
That's great. Yeah, because if you set up the code so that it's just looking for, all the audio files in a folder or whatever, then it's really easy for people to customize. When I do sound effect project in the Learn system, I'll try to do that. So if people are updating it, they can easily have it work.
All right, I'm not going to talk in length about the rest of them, but this is a backup alarm for my wife's car. Also uses CircuitPython. We already talked about the hit clips. They use CircuitPython.
Yes.
And the T9 macro pad runs CircuitPython. That one I'm really excited to replace with the 2350, because it's I'm pushing up against flash RAM and just performance. Stuff. It works great, but it's going to help me make it even better.
That's awesome. Yeah. And also speaking to that, niche generation of hit clips and people that texted on T9. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Guy, for coming by and talking with us on the CircuitPython Day. You have so many fantastic CircuitPython projects. Thank you. We always say code plus community equals CircuitPython, and you are one of the community members that really shows what you can do with it and pushes the boundaries. So thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Yeah. Where can folks find you?
Sure. I just made a new portfolio page.
Excellent.
It's called Guy Combinator. So these are most of my projects. You actually, because I'm bad at DNS, you have to type in www.guycombinator.net.
Okay.
This is a ripoff of Hacker News if you're not terminally online like some of us. But this is my real portfolio, and the upvotes actually, like, they're global and they work.
Great.
I'll post this link, and then all my contact stuff's at the bottom here.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. As we continue on CircuitPython Day, don't forget you can get 16% off in the Adafruit shop with CPD16. Next is going to be a chat from Melissa on our team about how she's been working on the CircuitPython code editor. Really cool stuff. 2 p.m. Toddbot and Paul Cutler will be live, and a lot more after that. So thank you so much, and we will see you in a bit. Bye.
Thank you all.
Thanks.